Greetings, friends. Yoiston here, and I hope you all are doing well, wherever you are in Middle-earth. I'm joined once again by Royan. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. Always good to hear from you. Well, here we are, the Westernesse podcast, episode 9. And guys, as always, I know Patreon is a monthly thing, and it's just really, it means a lot to me that you all stick around, that you all, donate and continue to support the channel in such a way, right? You're making my dream, Ryan's dream, really, become a reality. So really, thank you. And to add on to that, we had that Lord of the Rings online session last month, and that was so much fun. That was so much fun running around Breeland and talking to some of you guys. Ryan, what do you think about it?
Well, I thought it was really awesome. I mean, I really love the Patreon system because it just shows that there's more people out there who love Lord of the Rings as much as, if not more than we do, and that they want to hear this content and they want to listen to this and they want to interact with us. The gaming session we did with the fans was super cool. We met a handful of some really really great people and fans of your channel, and so I just thought it was awesome altogether.
No, I completely agree. Yeah, and if you guys aren't on Discord yet or what have you, I posted the Discord link probably 2 months ago back on our Patreon. So please join us there. I'd love to talk to you all over voice chat or just typing chat. Either one works, but yeah, awesome. All right, well, we'll go ahead and jump into this month in Middle-earth, and this month is January. Ryan, do you want to start us off in 3019 of the Third Age, January 8th?
3019, January 8th. The Fellowship of the Ring reach Holland as they spot the caravan. Yeah. So
Craven. Let's see. This
I do not think I spelled or pronounced that correctly.
Yeah, no, you're good. The Craben, something like that. They're the birds from Dunland, and
yes.
So yeah, I always thought this was kind of interesting. The Fellowship of the Ring left Rivendell in the dead of winter. I think that was not by accident, and they were running out of time too. But just kind of, it would suck to have to journey that far in cold, in the cold of winter. But yeah, so they're in Origian right now. The 11th of January, the Fellowship of the Ring camps at the foot of the Redhorn Pass. They try to cross the pass at night, but are unsuccessful.
The next day... Sorry.
Yeah.
The next day, on the 12th, they're unable to cross the pass of Caradras, and the Fellowship of the Ring, they return to Holland. In the night, they are attacked by a pack of wargs.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and that was kind of the final nail in the coffin for that. They had to go through Moria because all the other paths had problems. The 13th of January, the Fellowship is attacked by wolves in the early hours of the day. They reach the west gate of Moria by nightfall, where they are attacked by the Watcher on the Water. And then Gollum begins to trail the ring bearer. At least to our knowledge, he could have already been following him. We're not exactly sure. I think he just made it into Moria on his own after he escaped from Mirkwood and then started to trail them.
I think that this is where the Fellowship noticed, or Gandalf specifically noticed, that he was probably following them. I don't know if they actually saw him or he saw him or anything, but this is probably where they started, Gandalf got that eerie sense.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, yeah.
Okay, so 2 days later, on the 15th of January, Gandalf falls from the Bridge of Khazad-dûm along with Durin's Bane, and then the Fellowship leave Moria and enter the Drimrill Dale, and then Gimli, Frodo, Sam gaze into the Mirror, and then the Fellowship of the Ring find the Chamber of Mazarbul and Balin's tomb. Gimli takes the book. I read that backwards, I realized. So first
you're good.
First, they entered the tomb and they entered Balin's tomb and they found the book of Mazarbul. Mm-hmm. Then they actually I don't know.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah, so they definitely fell before they before they entered the Drimrill Dale.
Yeah. So they go into the Chamber of Mazarbul. They find the book. Then they go to the bridge. Gandalf falls, and then they leave Moria and enter.
And this is all stuff that a lot of Lord of the Rings fans will They know all this.
So. Yeah. So, the 17th of January, the Fellowship of the Ring passes the Silver Lode. They reach the Ninth, the outskirts of Lothlorien and Ciaran Amroth. they come to Karas Galathon in the evening.
Okay, and then on the next day, the 18th of January, Saruman hears that the Fellowship of the Ring hears of and then sends a company of orcs, or of Uruk-hai, led by Ugluk, to intercept them.
Ugluk. The 23rd of January, Gandalf pursues the Balrog to the peak of Celebdil, or Zirak Zigil. And then you want to finish off with the 25th?
Finishing off January, on the 25th, Gandalf casts down the Balrog from the peak of Celebdil and passes away afterwards. That man was fighting the Balrog for 10 days.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there it is. Like, we're recording this on the 25th of January, so that would have been today. That Gandalf the Grey passed.
Yes.
And was sent back to the halls of Iluvatar. Yeah, cool. So this is taken from the Lord of the Rings project, the timeline of the history of Middle-earth. Please check it out. I always link it in the description, and that's where we get our information
awesome
for this.
Map with all of these points that show where.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is a great guide for anyone wanting to explore the timeline and the maps of Middle-earth. So, all right, well, let's jump into the Q&A. So I took every month I try to get on Discord before we record the podcast and take some of your questions. And our first one comes from the Joker. He asks about specific military tactics and where/how did they exist in Middle-earth. When we were talking, he mentioned specifically the turtle formation and how that's kind of relative to Gondorians and their large tower shields. For those of you who don't know, the turtle formation is kind of this. It's almost this square of shields, right? The front men hold their shields while the back men hold the shields above their heads to protect from enemy archers and things like that.
Yeah.
So ultimately, yeah, he was wondering just kind of what tactics come from where and kind of how they exist in Middle-earth. Ryan, did you want to kind of start us off with? We'll jump around from faction to faction, but did you want to start us off?
Yeah, I wanted to mention that I think that the military tactics specifically differed from race and faction. Specifically, I think that the elves and the men and the dwarves all have different military tactics, and I think that this is actually really apparent. I think this is something that Peter Jackson in his films does really well, is show the difference in like military tactics without actually like dwelling or spending time on it. They just kind of show it, and then you could pick up on that if you're looking for it and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure. I don't think Tolkien ever really mentioned a whole lot of military like tactics and other like that in the works, because in my opinion, I really don't think Tolkien spends a lot of time on battles and other military things. I feel like the Lord of the Rings is actually a lot more about the characters and less about the events and battles. So
no, I completely agree. Like you said, it's about kind of the race and the cultures and the geological features as well. Right, like the elves, I would say, and you're right, Tolkien, from what I can tell, also doesn't really go into depth. And lately I've been thinking about his style of how he writes battles. Sometimes it's more within a character lens and more personal, like, oh, Bilbo gets hit by a rock during the Battle of Five Armies.
And
like that's just yeah, and then we missed it. But yeah, it's like a singular moment instead of the almost wide lens, wide-scaping writing that he might write with the Battle of Pelennor Fields, for instance. He kind of changes those scopes. And yeah, so I mean, some specific military tactics, right? So if we look at the elves, for instance, right, the battles that happened in Lothlorien and Mirkwood during the late War of the Ring, that was a lot of guerrilla warfare and also kind of defense. I feel like, yeah, if you have trees and archers, right, that's going to be your go-to, is going to be kind of hiding, evading, running, and then stealth attacks against orcs. That'll limit fatalities, and that'll kind of bolster how much fear you can put into the orcs, right? Because if they can't see you, they don't know how many of you there are. Versus the dwarves, for instance, who are the complete opposite. They're all about the defensive sieges. They're about the, come right up against our gates and we'll fight you, And if we have to, we'll go inside of Erebor and we're just going to put up the gates, And that's kind of how the Men of Gondor act. You know, the Siege of Minas Tirith, very defensive, very let's man the walls with archers and kind of fight off from there rather than go out front and fight, right? Because every time, like with Faramir before the battle, when they kind of did that, when they sent a forward group, you know, that didn't go well.
They got smacked.
Yeah, they did. So that, you know, that's kind of unfortunate for that battalion. Versus Rohan, for instance.
They got horses,
Rohan.
So
yeah, they've got horses.
That they do is based on the fact that they have more mobility and more actual brute force than any infantry.
Yeah.
Like patrol or battalion.
Yeah, exactly, right? So you have Rohan who comes out into the field. They're not so good at sieges as, I mean, they did fine at Helm's Deep and they lasted, but they probably lasted about 12 hours or less.
Yeah.
Because of
the fact that they were kept up, like they were stuck in the keep, I think really worked against Rohan in the Battle of Helm's Deep, but also it's important to remember that most of the warriors were not with them. They were working with whatever reserves they had, and then mostly just anyone who could hold a sword. So, but
that's true.
If you, I mean, it was clearly shown in Peter Jackson's film with the light coming from the east, and then the Riders of Rohan run down, and they just completely mow over this Uruk horde, and that's just the power of horses. This is why Rohan is amazing.
Oh yeah. You know, and then that's also part of the thing too. It's right, like they you know, every culture in Middle Earth is kind of inspired by bits and pieces of different real life cultures, right? So Rohan, for instance, draws a lot of Anglo-Saxon, and they kind of are about more open battles and stuff, and I think less about sieges. I mean, I'm not a history scholar per se, but from what I've learned about them, yeah, it kind of fits more of that open field battle versus the siege battle. And we also have to remember when they did get holed up in Helm's Deep, they were actually riding forth to attack Isengard, and then they were pushed back because their army was out, and then they saw Isengard's army, and they're like, oh crap, we got to retreat to Helm's Deep, you know, before we get demolished out in the open field. You know, and then Erkenbrand and Elfhelm, their forces came in the books at least, and came to their aid. But yeah, I guess it just really, it depends on the culture. It really does, and the geological forces at play. Pelennor Fields, right? You had like 3 different things going on at once. You had the defensive siege inside of Minas Tirith with the Gondorians. That's what they're good at, the heavy armor, the big shields. And then you have Rohan kind of splintering all of the forces outside, arrowheading. And then you have the Corsair ships with Aragorn and the men from South Gondor. They jump off, and this is kind of a you know, push from the sea, where, you know, it's all infantry and archers and stuff, and it's just trying to push and get a defensive hold next to at least the river, not the sea. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like we could talk about this for forever, but it just really depends on geological forces, what a particular culture is best at. Do they fight with axes or swords or spears or horses or whatever it is, you know? But yeah, I would just say it comes down to culture, geology, and
what you have at your disposal.
Exactly. Do you have any final thoughts on that?
Nah, I don't think I have anything else to add.
Awesome. Yeah, all right. So we can jump into the next question, which kind of ties into this. This is from Jacob Holm. How did the Navy combat work within Middle Earth? Royan?
So obviously we know that South Gondor has ships. But other than that, we have the Corsairs who also have vessels and stuff like that. Rohan obviously doesn't have any. Dwarves don't have any. The elves have ships, but they're mostly going to
the west.
Yeah, they're mostly going to the west. Is there anyone else that I'm forgetting?
Honestly, I would say Umbar, South Gondor, and then Numenor.
Yes.
Okay. Numenor during the Second Age, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
I mean, I feel like most of the elves in their history only used ships to travel to and from the west.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a whole lot. I mean, there was obviously like the burning of ships, but I wouldn't call that naval combat. I'd call that sabotage.
Yeah, sabotage by Fëanor against followers of Fëanor.
I feel
he played himself.
You know it. I feel like the naval combat was not like open sea combat.
Yeah,
it was specifically in rivers and in other bays and things like that. This is what we see in the Lord of the Rings before the Battle of Pelennor Fields. It's like in the rivers. It's not in the open sea. It's
yeah.
I need a map. Gosh.
Yeah, no, I would agree there. And honestly, like you said, it's mostly used for transport. And the dwarves, who seem to be heavily inspired by Norse, Norse culture. Ships were big parts of Norse culture back in the day, right, with all the Vikings and stuff like that. But even dwarves don't like ships in Middle Earth.
Well, they don't have any seaports. They're all
exactly. Yeah, no, exactly, and and it's kind of interesting because they're almost just used as like, all right, transportation, and then a means of just like, oh, that combat is happening and it'll determine the control of which seaport, So ultimately I feel like the Navy, it's there because it kind of has to be there. But Numenor, which is alike to ancient Rome in a lot of ways, they just use it to conquer different seaports or to establish themselves and trade economies, civilizations in different upon different rivers. Which they also established Umbar, and which would lead into the Black Numenorians. But I think that's about it. It's not a heavily discussed thing, right? You have Aragorn, who also during his younger years as Thorongil, he came down into Umbar and burned the Corsair ships there, so they would stop harassing the people of Gondor. But it's just used as like a minor kind of military, a minor combat in the grand scope of Middle Earth.
They don't have like warships, I would say. I think they have transport ships to transport infantry.
Yeah. Do you mean the Corsairs even?
I would say anybody, really. I mean, I guess the Corsairs have, of course, like piracy ships. I would imagine, but like even then, that's not a ship made for like brutal combat. That's a ship that you need to like. It's fast so that you can intercept and then board.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Right, it's about kind of those random little raids, on the Sea of Belfal, or on the in Belfalas and Anfalas and near Pelargir. But yeah, again, it's like you said, it's not about heavy catapults and things like that. I don't believe, at least.
Yeah. Do you have anything else on that?
No, I think that about does it. I hope we answered your question, Jacob, and Joker as well for military. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting topic in Middle Earth because so many battles do happen, but they're all very similar. Like we've discussed in previous episodes, like the technology in Middle Earth, it doesn't really evolve that much over thousands of years. It just changes slightly, and it even kind of declines in a lot of ways from the first stage.
It goes from like almost like soft magic induced to no magic at all for the majority of the population.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the combat kind of goes with it. The only time where we see kind of a big change in terms of combat or industry is Saruman with his bombs at Helm's Deep. Mm-hmm. Everything else is pretty archaic and medieval. So,
all right.
Cool.
I can get the next question. So Joker asks, how is Black speech written / spoken? And got anything, Yoisen?
Oh, yeah. So I tried to say it earlier. So I had to learn, at least in cuts, and this isn't going to be perfect, how to say this, the One Ring description or inscription for my One Ring video last year. So I promised the Joker I'd try to say it again. All right, well, here we go. Ashnaj dubatuluk, Ashnaj grimbaktul, Ashnaj thraknuduluk, Agbuzum ishi grimbaktul. That's as close as I'm going to get tonight.
But there's a lot of fans of Lord of the Rings that are I would argue they're super fans and they like learn the languages and they can speak it perfectly and they can speak all of them. I know a few myself and I really I think that's super awesome. I will never be able to do that.
Yeah,
I can learn
I completely.
certain Elvish words, but when it comes to syntax, I'm done. It's out of my hands.
Yeah, no, I get you. When you get enough comments about, oh my gosh, pronunciation, that's what did it for me. It's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna really, really hammer some of these words down. But yeah, well, so black speech, right? And this is a pretty open-ended question, but I'll just try to give some basics. And if it wasn't, I again, I think it was the Joker who said this, but if it wasn't, it was Jacob. So sorry about the confusion again. But yeah, so the black speech is a derivant of it's kind of like an offshoot of Sindarin, I believe, because it was Second Age. By that time, obviously Thingol had outlawed Quenya. So I think black speech uses the same Tengwar runes. I'll just check that real fast. Maybe it's oh wait, hold on. It could be Kirth runes. Yeah. Okay. So I think it is Tengwar. It is those kind of elvish runes that are used in Quenya and stuff. But I think are also kind of translated into Sindarin. And then the speech is kind of the similar way, but it is darkened. I think in the Discord chat we said it does sound demonic, and I think it is. Yeah, it's supposed to. It's almost supposed to be an appalling and evil, a very evil language, right? Not many people know it.
I would argue that it's definitely written to be intimidating. You don't have a video on black speech?
Not yet. No, I do want to make one though.
Probably a really awesome video.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'll make sure to put that one down. Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely want to explore this language because it's interesting. It has its own little facet in Tolkien's works, right? It's only known by a couple. I would argue. I think Elrond knows it. Gandalf knows it. But not many more people do, honestly. Besides the two of them. Yeah. Hold on. Let me check here. So I got Angerthos. I'm trying to make sure it's the exact runes. Let's see here. Yes. It could be that black speech was also a derivant of yes. Angerthos runes. Angerthas. Because yeah, it has its own method, its own style of writing when you look on the ring with that just inscription and stuff. It's very close to Sindarin, but it is different. It is it is still demonic, I would say, in terms of its writing, but I'm pretty sure it's derived from either Tengwar runes or Angerthos. But I would implore you to go into that a little bit more if you have more questions, Joker. But yeah, I would say it's just meant to be kind of an insult in terms of language, right? And Sauron. That's kind of how he does it. He's insulting to everyone. But yeah, any more thoughts on that one, Ryan?
Nah, I'm bad at language.
Nah, I get you. That's I think where I struggle most in terms of Tolkien's Legendarium.
100%.
Yeah. I do want to kind of get it down as as life goes on and stuff, get some more pronunciations and learn it more. But yeah, the runes are very similar. Again, it's kind of like our own real life history where it's like language just slightly changes over time. But yeah, you have these Tengwar runes, they change, and from Kirth runes and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was overall black speech is meant to be just a terrible thing, a very evil and demonic language that kind of baffles others. So cool. Yeah. Do you want to read the next question?
Sure. Next question from Jacob Holm. Where did the wizards get their names? First, I counter ask you which names.
That's fair.
Because they have the Middle Earth names, which we all know, I'm assuming. And then the Maya names, which is only very briefly spoken about in Lord of the Rings. It goes into more detail in a similar way, but I'm assuming that the Maya names were given to them by their creators.
I would say by I think when language became an important thing in Middle Earth, so the Valar or other Maiar probably gave them those. And I won't go through all of them, but I would say each name has its own translation within the Legendarium, or it's inspired by kind of an older speech. Tolkien, he's all about the linguistics of things and how languages work.
Tolkien's a nerd. Heard it here
first. yes, sir. As we all are, you know.
We all are. I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, so like Alorin, for instance, the name of Gandalf, it has its own etymology within the works. Let me see, off of Tolkien Gateway here. I'm gonna see if I can find it. So, Alorin is the original name in Valinor. Apparently, according to Quenya, that could also be where they get some of their names, is from the High Elves of the Noldor and the Vanyar. Could be that they named them as well. So apparently, Alor means dream or vision, and I think then it's added to Rin, which isn't present here. But yeah, ultimately, my point is, like, with even those older names, usually it translates into Quenya and it means something like that, right? Gandalf, again, according to Tolkien Gateway, it means, let's see here, I think it means elf wand. Yes, wand elf. I think it was, I remember reading this before, and according to Wikipedia, Tolkien derived the name Gandalf from Norse mythology. And I think it was in the works when he was writing The Hobbit to kind of be maybe a dwarvish name or something, or maybe it was a dwarvish name in Norse mythology, and he kind of translated that into a wizard. So yeah, they all have their own etymology. Saruman, his name means let's see, device, design, art, and then the whole name means, or at least Saru means device, design, or art. And then his whole name means man of skill. Radagast means, maybe, no, his doesn't appear here. But yeah, my point is, they all have their own etymology within the context, within the languages of Tolkien's works.
Gandalf's also called Mithrandir by the elves. Did they just give that name to him?
Yeah. Yeah, Gandalf, if you look at some of his articles online, he has so many other names. But yeah, Mithrandir, I think that means alive forever. No, yeah, true. That's true. Mithrandir. Let's see. I'm gonna look that one up. Actually, I'm not exactly sure what that one means.
Do the elves call Saruman or Radagast any other names?
Saruman maybe. Let's see, his original
Saruman.
name.
I don't think they care about Radagast.
Yeah. I think it was actually only Gandalf that the elves in Middle Earth, like the.
It's probably because he's the only one that will talk to other people.
Yeah, you're right there. Yeah, that's true. Saruman is a recluse. Radagast is off in the wild, with his animals.
Just disappeared.
Yeah, they pieced out right when they got to Middle Earth. So, yeah, no, Gandalf is really the only one who completes a lot of deeds. Yeah, Saruman, he has Kurumo, his name in Valinor, and Kurunir, which is also a Sindarin name. But I'm pretty sure, yeah, Gandalf is the only one in terms of the elves of the Third Age to be given other names. But let's see here, Mithrandir. Oh yeah, of course. I've remember seeing this before. I just couldn't think of it. Mithrandir is a Sindarin phrase meaning great pilgrim or wanderer.
Okay, it's just a description.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
The question. What about you?
Yeah, same here. They just get their names again. It's all a language thing. It's I think dwarves have a different name for Gandalf, and then elves have a different name. It's all about kind of a title or description. So, all right, we'll move on to our final question from the Big Drummer from Discord. Were there free peoples north of the Grey Mountains, and did any of them fight in the War of the Ring? Yeah, no, that's a great question, and honestly, not one that I can answer with certainty.
Same.
But I would say maybe there were kindreds alike to the Lossoth, the snowmen of Forukel
Yes.
in the far north.
I would argue that there's probably like I would be amazed if there wasn't at least a civilization that far north.
Yeah.
I mean, as you go farther north, I'm sure it all kind of just dies off. But we don't hear anything about it, so I'm assuming that they didn't. Even if they were there, I don't think they participated in the War of the Ring.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Right, there were. So if you look at the map of Middle Earth in the northwest corner where the Ice Bay of Fodokel is, that's like the closest that the remaining part of Middle Earth was to Autumno and Angband, Morgoth's original fortresses. And that's why it's so cold up there. It's a reminder of his old evil and his old places. So north of the Grey Mountains, you have a lot of drakes and cold drakes and kind of like these dragon breeds.
And here be dragons.
Yeah, yeah, could be even Balrogs. Could be fire dragons. So I would say anything north of the Grey Mountains would have a hard time surviving, let alone, be influenced by the events of the Third Age and by the War of the Ring. But if any of them did, like maybe there was a dwarven kindred that was still left in the Grey Mountains, if any of them did fight in the War of the Ring, they probably would have fought in the Battle of Dale at the tail end of the War of the Ring, like right as the ring was destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they sent a force down there to help the dwarves of Erebor, to help the men of Dale, but yeah, I wouldn't bet it. No. I wouldn't bet on it though. Yeah. Anything else about that?
Not really.
Yeah, I just don't think there's a lot of canon explanation in terms of those people. It's the same when you get too far in any one direction, except west, I suppose, right?
Even
for
west,
the west,
we have an idea, but I don't think we have anything super amazingly concrete as far as structure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, even the Valar, they are pretty ambiguous, especially in the Third Age and where they are and all that. But yeah, if you go too far in one direction, it's like the canonidity of how much information, it kind of dies out. So, all right. Well, that wraps up our Q&A section. We'll jump into the news here before we wrap things up. We do have lots of news. Yeah. So I'll start us off with the birthdays. Both J.R.R. Tolkien and Edith Tolkien have had their birthdays this month. And this month, January 3rd was Tolkien's birthday. He would have been 127, and Edith would have been 130 on January 21st. So,
love that.
Yeah, they're absolute legends,
What a cute couple.
Yeah, dude, the real Baron and Luthien right there. Yeah.
All right. The next piece of news that we have is there's a new Middle Earth fan film coming out. It's called The Fog on the Barrow-Downs. They released a trailer that I viewed on YouTube. I'm assuming Yoisin, you definitely viewed it on YouTube because you're the one who.
Oh yeah. I gave it a share about a month ago.
Honestly, it looks pretty good. It's of course a trailer, so they're going to be showing all the scenes with the best effects, the best looking, and of course that they want to fit with their narrative. But when I look at it, it honestly looks really good, and that's my favorite part about these fan films is that Lord of the Rings has such dedicated fans and such talented fans that they can create these things for little to no actual outside support and budget. They can fund these things by themselves, and they just look awesome.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, right? And I hope this goes down in the books right next to The Hunt for Gollum and Born of Hope. Right, it looks like a dedicated team's really, really going after it, and I'm very curious to see where this goes. It looks very interesting, because there is a lot of rich history with the Barrow-Downs, and even some stuff that they can take some artists, they can kind of be independent a little bit from Tolkien's works and still stay true to the themes, because there were a lot of battles and stuff that happened in Cardolan during the Angmar War. So yeah, I'm very excited. Again, like you said, it's the dedication of the fans, right? They're not in it for money. They're not in it to get sued or anything like that. They're they're in it because they love the work and
They love
they
addict,
really want to tell a
which
story.
is something that I really respect. Is
Yeah,
it's one thing to take something and to put it on a pedestal and worship it like we all do. It's another thing to take it down and then just use it to create other beautiful things.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, no, I think that's all I have to say about that one.
Same.
I'm looking forward to seeing where that one goes. Yeah. Next, we'll jump into. So there's a Tolkien exhibit coming to New York here pretty soon, and yeah, I mean I don't know if I'll be able to go see it at all, but yeah, honestly, it looks great, right? And I think I've heard from people internationally that have seen this similar exhibit kind of go down in a different country, and it looks incredible, and it looks like yeah, it looks like they're just gonna do some honorable mentions to Tolkien's works and really do him justice. So
I mean, he
um,
is he's a pop culture icon, but he's also more than that. He's like the founder of fantasy as we know it today.
yeah, that's very true. Um, and he definitely pushed he pushed what it means to be an author and to how to create a world, not even just in the fictional realm, but how to have good characters and how to world build and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't got anything
So
to say.
yeah, I mean, if you guys are in the area, if you guys are near,
Check it out.
yeah, go ahead and check it out. Again, links to all these things are in the description below.
All right. Next piece of news we have is this Fantasy Flight Journeys in the Middle Earth game, and I have it open here. Oh, I have their website,
Hmm.
or just something about it. It looks like, honestly, looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I always love these small projects and Fantasy Flight. So whenever I'm making my videos, right, I'm looking for art and I'm looking, for really great pieces that capture what's going on in the story, just to kind of combine and really help tell the narrative. Fantasy Flight builds some of not only like just the best, I guess, like I don't know, it's just some of the best art and some of the best character moments. Not only that, but it seems here that they are building figurines. It seems like a tabletop game.
Yeah,
and
it's like
I
a
want to.
tabletop board game.
Yeah, and these deserve more light to be shed on them. These are really interesting things, and I think they, in their own right, keep Middle Earth alive. Yeah, cool.
If you're into board games, check it out. I know Fantasy Flight makes awesome games, so
Yeah,
go take a look at that.
yeah.
Oh, last
I
piece of
agree.
news, my favorite one.
Oh yeah.
So do you want to do it? Go for it.
Oh sure, yeah. So yeah, J.R.R. Tolkien biopic is set to release in May of this year, 2019, and also some new pictures just today, even right before recording this podcast. The new pictures from the movie have been released. So
Whoa.
yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Whoa.
It looks really cool.
1 second here, Yosin. Did you say biopic?
Biopic?
Is it not biopic? Am I crazy?
I don't know. I've been told that they switched how you say the term, like in the 40s or something.
What?
Biopic.
Oh,
I think
I looked it up. It's biopic. Get out of here.
All right, biopic.
Okay.
I've heard both, but
sorry, I'll
okay.
stop interrupting.
No, you're good. But yeah, no. So I remember hearing a little bit about this project a couple months ago, and oh my gosh, I'm so excited! I can't wait to see what they can do to tell Tolkien's story, right? Because he really had an interesting and somewhat sorrowful, but somewhat happy, life. Just growing up where he did, seeing what happened to his friends and his homeland and all that kind of stuff, but kind of finding that hope within his life. So
He has a story that
I
everyone
hope they,
needs to hear.
yeah, he really does. You know, it's again, I bring up that the tale of camaraderie, the tale of friendship, right? Him and his friends, you know, those that went off to war with him, and some that never came back, right? It's sad, but it really, you know, it contributed to who Tolkien became, and what he thought about war, and all of that contributed to his fantasy. Yeah, no, this is something they all need to, that a lot of people need to hear. And I really hope that they do it justice. I've heard some worries, you know, that they're gonna kind of like other biopics or whatever. That you know, I hope that they don't take too many creative liberties. But
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, I'm excited that it's going to release in May. I'm excited that it's coming out this year. I hate it when I hear about these projects for things that I love, and it's like possibly coming in 5 years, and like that that hurts my soul. But
yeah, it does.
I agree with, like, I really hope they don't take too many creative liberties. I feel like it's kind of like a trend that when you make a biopic, you make something about, or you make like a biography about someone who's like famous, that you kind of like, you'll get more views if you show the darker side, show them in like they're not their greatest light. And honestly, I don't know if you really could do that with Tolkien. Like he's pretty great all around.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So I really hope that it's more of a celebration of his life and his works and what he went through and what that did to him and how he was able to turn that into something that so many people love.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Yeah, they just have to they have to do the legend and the man justice, you know. And I'm looking at the pictures that they just released today, from the movie. It looks really good. Like the cinematography looks great. The colors are vibrant and everything. It is a little bit worrying because it does look a little bit dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
And not to say that there weren't dramatic moments in Tolkien's life, because there definitely were quite a few. But I just hope they don't overplay any one tone way too much. You know,
I agree.
Tolkien definitely lived a diverse life.
Don't make it a war movie.
Yeah. Don't. I mean, yeah. Like he was, you know, he was in World War I. Give that to the first act or the first half or whatever. But that wasn't his entire life, you know. So, yeah. Oh, all right. That covers the news from January, and I think we're gonna start wrapping it up here. Any final thoughts, Ryan?
I don't have a whole lot to say. Except that I did want to say something personally. So none of the viewers know this, but Roy and me, my birthday is actually coming up, and I wasn't really thinking about it all that much, and I actually just kind of started thinking about it today, and I wanted to just thank all of the viewers on Patreon so much for everything that they do. When Yoisen's if you don't know, Yoisen's like a friend of mine going years back, and like when he came to me and he told me that he was going to start posting videos back on his channel and stuff like that. Of course, I was like his friend, so I gave him some garbage about like, you got to get those extra 10 views, you know what I'm saying? But and then it really started to grow, and I just thought it was super cool. And Yoisten, you do so much work for this channel. I really want to thank you so much for doing something awesome. And I really also want to thank every viewer and every patron and everybody who comments. Please comment your questions or anything that you want to talk about. I love reading them. I don't always answer them, usually because Yoisten gets to them first. But like, this community is amazing, and I love everything about it. And I want to thank everyone so much for being able to create this opportunity for me in these past months. It's just so much fun, and it's so cool, and I love everything that we're doing. And I love how much you guys love what I love. Some of you love it a lot more, and you're a lot more defensive about it, and that's okay. But like, I just think it's super awesome to be able to relish in something like we all do. That's all I got.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, man. That means like the world to me. You know, and I'm so happy that you wanted to join me for my podcasts and everything like that, oh, and happy birthday as well.
Not telling you the date, but it is coming up.
Yeah, it is coming up. But yeah, man, like, of course, like, all those sessions of Latro gaming and talking Middle Earth, right? It's what inspired me to get back into it, and to all my Patreon supporters and Discord people who talk to me on Discord and everything like that. You guys really make this community what it is. And again, I always say I'm just a Tolkien fan with a microphone, and it means the world to me that you all listen. And
he also does a lot
especially
of editing. Don't let him sell himself short. He does a lot of editing. He does a great job.
Thank you, man. Yeah, thank you. But yeah, no, you guys like support me every month. You guys watch these videos and take the time to talk to me and comment and share and everything like that. And it just means so much. Right. So this is the 9th episode of the Westernesse podcast, and yeah, we're gonna keep it going. So. If you guys have questions, just let us know. Let us know on Patreon. Send me a message on the YouTube channel, or on the video after this is posted. You could leave the comment there, or you can talk to us on Discord. Either way, any one of those is great. We all want to hear from you. So, well, I hope you all enjoyed today's episode and took something away. Yeah, thank you all so much for joining us on this adventure. Until the next one, my friends.